Hello and welcome to another fabulous bonus episode of the Book Wars Pod.
We're doomed.
It was really great during the intro because, like, you know, Miranda was doing her thing and dancing. Keeks was doing some like half-hearted dancing, and Rana was like looking off screen at such an angle that it was just like the most intense side eye I've ever seen in my life.
I'm sorry.
It was Argos in the corner. He's just
he's asleep. I don't have an excuse other than that. I was using this time to depress myself over how much rentals have increased, and that was what I was doing. I was looking at that on my second monitor, which, in all fairness, is also where my episode notes are. But I know you would never think we had episode notes if you listen to the pod.
I know, right?
We do, and
we just ignore them.
So while
don't say that, my girlfriend's cousin's friend listens now.
This is entirely too
I'm
many
not going to
people.
reference that it reminds me of that Spaceballs joke about Star Wars when you say that.
Which Spaceball? There's a lot of
Yes,
Spaceballs jokes about
true.
Star Wars.
Like my uncle's roommate's cousin's nephew's former. Yeah, whatever. Something like that. I'm not funny. That's why I don't write anything. But
that's why we're not on the podcast. We have a boring, shitty podcast.
Wow. That just made me sad.
Oh my god.
Damn. Didn't have to get so fucking real, Burb. Jesus.
So fucking actually.
Do we all need to quit? Like, is this the last ever Book Wars
I was going to say.
We're going to put out the first 3 minutes of this, and that's going to be it.
This is our announcement.
So
you heard it here first, folks.
Wow.
As you
Sorry,
can
I will
hear-
hype myself up and stop looking at these things online. Tabs closed. One more
You
tab
should just
closed,
look at
done.
yourself and the camera like the rest of us do.
Exactly.
And then I'll really be depressed.
Not
Sorry.
the camera, but the screen. I'm very
Keeks
cute
is doing
today.
a motion that I'm talking too much, so I'm going to mute.
That's not what that means.
She was dancing.
She did the little, like, yip yap.
Oh, no, that's
yeah,
just,
no,
that's
I'm just
how she
doing crab
dances.
hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's
We
just
do
a crab.
this and that.
Is it, what? I don't understand what's happening.
Wait, that's what me and well,
Is it
also
just a
this
white
is what
people
our old
thing?
No, this is how our old band director used to keep time. So that's why me and Miranda both do it during the intro.
I thought, like, I've only seen that motion for, like, when people are being rude about talking too much.
It's like,
They'd be like, yap, 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 yap.
Rana, I would never fucking
does
tell you. could
that?
talk to.
I
Oh,
thought
hi.
it's fine. Oh, Jasper,
kind of-
hi.
what
I
kind
thought
of
it was
rude-ass
like a
bitch
you
does
doing
that
your
to someone?
producer job and being like, can you guys stay on topic? Like, we just started and we're already
No,
off.
I have never tried to bring this podcast back. That's not true. Sometimes
Yeah.
I try to get us back on topic.
This is
but
the intro.
Has
We're
it ever
allowed
been
to be off
successful?
topic.
No, but
No.
you try.
they're lucky we don't start recording it earlier. Where we just like bullshit in the beginning and talk about literally whatever.
I've already
mean, that's
forgotten
what
what
the
we
pod
talked about
is.
before this, so
That's true. We were pretty quick today, though.
that's
Well,
fair.
before you got on, I was talking
One-
about the woes of makeup removal, so.
Okay, that's a
Oh,
fair
yeah,
point.
I
I was late. Yeah, we were pretty quick once I got here today.
You weren't that late though.
No, I was only
I'll
like
give you
4 or 5
that.
minutes late. That's pretty good for
Yeah.
me.
No, sweetie, you were like 10 minutes late.
Almost. No,
I don't
no,
think
he was
that's
pretty
right.
close. No.
He texted that he was on his way at 7:04. Then it was at least 3 minutes until he got on because it was 7:07 and he still wasn't on. We're like, oh, Chris texted you. I'm on my way.
I don't care.
Sorry, I'm like this.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
I am
Anyway.
not someone who's ever been
I'm not
punctual in
sorry.
my
I
whole
am
life.
correct.
In fact, if
The burp
someone gets
story.
mad at me about being late, I usually tell them that that's racist.
Good.
As you should.
I mean, I don't mean it seriously, but also,
I love
like,
that for
it's
you.
racist.
But
Oh, that's
also-
a great
but you
thing to
should.
tell a
Every
white
time
people,
someone, like, apologizes to me for being late, I always, like, feel more and more like I'm turning into my dad because he used to say time was a colonial construct, and I was like, you're just giving me an excuse for picking me up late from school again. Okay. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, that's very funny though.
It would happen all the time. He'd be
It's
like,
not funny
I'd
that he
literally
didn't
be, like,
pick you up.
standing outside school, like, and he'd be like, well, whatever, time's a I was like, Dad, it's fine. You probably took a nap. I get it. It's all right. Just, can we go home? Anyways, I'm mute now. Like I said I would 5 minutes ago.
You're good.
No, never mute. As you can hear, I'm Chris. I'm here with Rana, Miranda, and Kristen, and Jasper. If you heard us say hello to Jasper as he walked in.
Jasper was here.
He's now asleep in the coldest room of the house. When I'm in here, he goes in the room to the left of me because it's cold in there.
Argos went to bed at like 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm like, are you sick? What's happening?
That's what time I went to bed last night.
Yeah,
that's a
you
dream.
did do that.
I just
I
don't
want
get it.
to.
I
I'd like
can't.
going to bed at like 9. Oh,
I slept. I
ideal.
was so tired. I slept so much. It was great.
I drove back from Oklahoma with COVID, and I still couldn't go to sleep before 9. Yeah. I wanted to. I literally couldn't fall asleep. Anyway, we're all here. We're talking about Book of Boba Fett again. The long-awaited
here?
part 2 to our
It's a
Book
noted
of Boba
Star
Fett.
Wars book.
Miranda, you'll
That is a
notice
good
that
point.
when it's not a book, we do it as a bonus episode.
But it's the
There's
book
some
of
consistency.
Boba.
I do
God
hear
damn
what you're
it.
saying. Yeah, no, I was quite happy with that, to be honest.
No,
Didn't
Don't-
you miss me?
don't, Miranda, just to be clear, you should not take my lack of laughter as a sign that I didn't get it.
Oh no, Kristen obviously didn't get it.
Shut
That's
the fuck
that's
up.
the explanation. I'm very proud of myself.
No, I thought it was good. I mean, not good
Thank
enough to
you.
laugh at, but it was good.
Wow.
It was good.
Not
I
good enough
nodded.
to
I was
laugh
like,
at
"Oh,
should be
yeah."
the tagline of this podcast.
So true.
I mean,
Except we
that's a
laugh at our
title.
own
That's a
jokes,
title
so it
right
kinda
there.
counts.
Anyway, on this episode of Book of Boba Fett Wars Pod, I'm drinking water. I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way because it's boring. What are you drinking, Miranda?
I've got wine. I got this wine at the store yesterday. I may have read it incorrectly, but I'm like 95% sure that it was on sale for $21.99, originally $34.99. And I was like, holy shit. There was one next to it, and it was like $15.99 on sale from $21.99, but there were no bottles of that left. And I didn't want to spend $21.99 on wine, but it was like at a really good discount, so I had to. It's a Chianti. It's Italian. Volpaia. I don't know, man. It's a Chianti. It tastes like wine.
Is your dinner some nice liver and some fava beans?
I had pasta.
Close enough.
There was like I made like a very simple sauce for it with some like little cut up sausage. It was really good.
Cool. Rana, how about
Rana,
you?
what are you drinking?
Well, first I was going to say I relate to the buying wine that you wouldn't normally want to spend money on, but then you're like, yeah, that's a good deal.
It's a
This-
screaming deal. My hands were tied.
Went to go get alcohol a couple days ago, and when I went there, they had a wine that like I've only had like for Christmas at my aunt's house, and it was on sale for I think it was like $22 or something. And I was like, "Is this usually a lot more? Like I'm getting this." And then I opened it Friday, had one glass, brought it down to Cadman's, didn't drink it over the weekend because we had like other alcohol, and then
no.
this morning I got home and I was like, "No, I left this," and I immediately texted him and I was like, "I'm sending a vacuum stopper to your house. You need to fix it. I can't waste the wine."
Yeah,
It was
I
super sad.
had a glass of it yesterday, and then I was like, I need to fall asleep right now. So it was like a race to,
See, wine
pump
doesn't make
the
me
air out of
sleepy.
it. Well, I was otherwise sleep. I had a couple beers while making dinner, and
That'll do it.
I don't know. It was a sleepy kind of weekend.
I mean, I say wine doesn't make me sleepy, but actually everything makes me sleepy. It's just that wine doesn't make me sleepier than anything else.
Reasonable.
It doesn't make you extra sleepy.
But like I've always seen that like meme of you have one glass of wine, you want to go to bed. And I was like, no, can't relate. I mean, I always want to go to bed, but ooh, sorry, my asthma is really bad. If you hear me wheezing, it is not anything to be concerned about. It's just my asthma. I'm going to mute and take my inhaler in a minute.
It's not anything to be concerned about. It's just a chronic illness.
It's just a chronic illness I've had my whole life since I was a baby. Anyways, I have bad genes apparently. Actually, we can blame the industrialization of the area I grew up in because there are all those interesting charts about industrialization and asthma rates. So,
Listen, you know I'm always down to blame Massachusetts for anything.
it's true.
Hell yeah.
You want to have infrastructure based on mills? Enjoy your chronic illness in your future generations. Anyways, I am drinking a dry dock beer. I think I might have had this on the pod when I first joined the pod. It's called Pomegranate Smoothie. It's an ale, and it's brewed with pomegranate, vanilla, and lactose. It's delicious. It's
so
5.2%.
Where is this from, and when are we going?
Dry Dock. They're in Aurora.
Okay.
Yeah. I've
Listen,
not been
there's-
there, but I've had other Dry Dock beers that are really good. I think they have like some sort of, I want to say maybe like an apricot blonde or something in the summer too.
I think I was drinking the pomegranate smoothie beer on the pod a few weeks ago because I remember I got it for the Super Bowl and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I went when we had the first spring like weekend, and it was actually the end of February. I went to the liquor store and I got like a little mixed 6-pack of like fruit wheat beers and things like that, and then I included this in that. I'm
Love
trying
it.
to save them. But yeah,
How's that going?
it's going pretty well actually.
Oh, good.
Plenty of other things to drink, especially because the people who are staging my apartment want me to get rid of all the alcohol. I'm not going to drink it all, but I was like, you know what takes up less space than a beer in the fridge? Anything else. So,
true.
anyways, what are you
Can't
drinking,
argue.
Keeks?
I don't know if I've actually had this on the pod before. Oh no, I picked a koozie that's hard to get the beer out of.
The beer is stuck, folks.
I've definitely had Crux beer on the podcast before, and I like Crux because they write a whole thing on the back for you, and I'm going to read that to you. It says a hazy India Pale Ale by Crux Fermentation Project, brewed in Bend, Oregon. Brewer owned and operated is what these little pair of boots say. In pursuit of the next great hazy IPA, safety is not guaranteed. To craft this highly drinkable adaptation of the style, we evaded all the murky, mysterious gimmicks in favor of a balanced body of flaked oats and wheat, accompanied by whole leaf Citra, Mosaic, and Galaxy hops, popping with juicy, tropical flavors. Dangerously delicious, this hazy drinks clean and keeps you coming back for more.
Hell yeah.
All of that is true. Chris, you actually might like this.
We love a Citra Mosaic Galaxy hop
hop
situation.
6.2%, 30 IBUs.
Oh, nice.
Nom nom nom.
That's real low for a hazy. Or for an IPA.
That's why I said Chris might like it.
Fucking love that.
It's true.
Don't look now.
All right. And then before we get started, our cause for these couple episodes is the International Rescue Committee at rescue.org. We may or may not have gotten the name wrong last time, but it is the International Rescue Committee. We did get the website right. So you probably donated. All three people who listen to this probably donated to the right place.
Yeah, everyone who listens totally donates.
Everyone, we have 100% donation rate. Well, I mean, to be fair, if nobody donates and nobody listens, that is 100%.
It's technically that's
That's true.
100%.
100% of zero is zero.
It's also 0% of 0.
It's
100%
a paradox.
0 out of 0 is not 100 because you can't divide by 0. So that's a whole other thing.
It's hashtag div over 0.
Yeah.
100% of zero is pi. That's what I heard.
Listen for more
my
Excel
heart
jokes.
I don't like this. Like, I don't like it.
I was gonna say thank you real quick for people who do donate to our Patreon because Miranda's headphones were extra broken and she got new headphones finally. So
I got
hey.
thank you
For
for
that.
We're not funneling your money into treats for our pets.
No,
or
it's from
if we are, we also have enough for headphones.
I was using in-ear earbuds that I bought several years ago for like $9 off Amazon. So this is an improvement. Everything sounds different.
No, you can trust the Patreon money isn't a scam because Brian runs it, and Brian is infinitely more responsible than we are.
Yes, so thank you, Patreon. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Dear Podfather, for granting me these headphones that actually work.
This is my first time ever hearing the term Podfather. Very funny.
That's pretty great. All right, so let's talk Star Wars television. So we talked kind of about our, like, what we liked and didn't like about Book of Boba Fett last episode. And before we get into some listener questions this week, we did want to kind of go back and talk about, okay, so, like, looking at the plot, how does it impact the universe, you know, in terms of tie-ins, in terms of what we want to see in the future, stuff like that.
You know, there was a lot that was going on. in this series, but in terms of like, if we want to talk about like the Avenged trilogy, sorry to Kristen for that. It doesn't tie in as much as like I was really worried about Grogu. That's the whole thing. Like I was super worried that Kylo Ren was gonna murder him with the lightsaber, but he did not stay at school. So I'm happy for that.
That took me a minute to catch up with what you were saying because I was like, Kylo Ren. Burb, you said you watched it, but did you?
So, surprise, I watched something Star Wars. I think it was actually The Rise of Skywalker.
And then you blacked out.
I also have not seen The Rise of Skywalker since right before we podcasted about it. So,
for all our shit talking last episode, like Book of Boba still makes way more sense. So, it's fine.
Yeah. It looks like you guys talked about the weird this is suddenly the Mandalorian interlude.
We did. We sure did.
For a couple episodes. That
Thank
was
you
fun.
so much for listening to the last episode like you said you were going to, Miranda. I really
I said,
it.
should I listen to this? I didn't say I would.
And then
you
said
guys
yes.
said you guys said you could also just read the outline, which is what I did.
I'm not going to comment. And I mean, I want to, but I'm
You're the
petty.
fucking worst.
I know. I'm not
Oh,
sorry.
Lord.
I feel like normally you have the excuse. I know I said I wasn't going to comment, but now I will because I can never withhold comment. I feel like you usually have, like, anyone could have the excuse of not wanting to hear their own voice, so they don't want to listen to it then. But, like, you were not on that episode.
It's true.
Actually, I hate hearing the rest of y'all's voices.
Yeah,
so.
no, we know. We're aware. It's the reason we don't do phone calls.
You tell us every week, Miranda.
I'm very rude like that. What can I say?
It's true.
But yes, we did. We did talk about this.
Yeah, I'm glad Grogu is okay, is the moral of the story.
Yeah,
That he doesn't die.
It was interesting, and one thing that we can skip to. Kate had a point kind of about the Luke interlude, that kind of relates to what I was saying last week about how like I find it to be completely in character that Ahsoka was like follow your instincts, and then it cuts to Luke making shitty fucking decisions.
Ultimatums. Yeah.
When have ultimatums ever worked out poorly for anyone?
Is the plural of ultimatums ultimata?
I
I'm
feel
gonna
like
look
it
this
should
up.
Is
be.
it?
I'm gonna mute and figure it
It
out. I
should
don't
be.
know.
Based on words.
I've never heard that, but that doesn't mean it's wrong.
It's probably not, but it should
Both
be.
are accepted. Ultimatums or ultimata.
Huh.
According
I'd
to
love to see
Britannica.
it.
That's not helpful when that's the answer, though.
And we trust the Brits for everything.
Well, I mean, Encyclopedia Britannica.
Do the Brits not
Merriam-Webster
run
has
that?
the same thing.
Fascinating. Anyway, so talking about Luke and the Ahsoka interlude, it is, as much as a lot of like, Ahsoka is very polarizing in live action now, and as we talked about last week, there are very good reasons for that because she quite literally was accused of a hate crime, and just nobody cares. So that's like very understanding why people like are frustrated in seeing her. I did love, and I know Kate did love, that she actually did get to meet Luke, and Kate says that she wants to know if she met Leia. I have to assume that she did. I don't know that we're ever going to see that meeting, but...
I wish that was the case, but I also feel like based on Star Wars relationships with women, like, maybe not.
That's not going to pass the Bechdel test for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Women speaking to each other? Come on, not in my Star Wars.
Seems fake.
Leia and Ahsoka met, but it got cut out of Rise of Skywalker. It's fine.
I mean, it's a nice mental image. I would like that, but I don't know.
But one thing that was interesting about kind of the whole Grogu and Mando plot is like, and obviously like the entire point of it was to set up Mandalorian season 3, and aside from the question of why wasn't Boba Fett in 2 episodes of his own show, but what is going to happen with Mando and Grogu and the Darksaber now? Because Mando's been exiled from the Psychos, exiled from the children of, what is it? Children of the Watch? Is that what?
I don't remember.
I'll believe whatever you say.
I think that's
yeah,
what Bo-Katan
I don't know
called
the
them.
answer, but that sounds like a weird mishmash of whatever the actual answer is plus Game of Thrones. So we should verify.
They're the watchers on the Mandalore. I did find it surprising. Like, he didn't super win that little battle, but he like kind of. It was very confusing, and then they just let him walk away with a dark saber.
That was the weird part. It's like,
was like,
you are
what?
exiled and you are not a true Mandalorian. Have fun with this heirloom. Bye.
But I think it's because he had he didn't fully win, but also he like had clearly won in some form of established like whatever they had. I'm not speaking English. Can we try this again?
They
Sorry,
could have.
Keeks.
They could have shot that. Like, they could have shot him with a blaster or some shit and be like, "Oh,
Oh
we're
yeah,
back."
that's true. I don't know why I
Like-
just assumed there were like formalities around that.
Oh, there probably are, but I mean, they're a weird cult. So any formalities can be bent if it serves your greater purpose.
That's true. Yeah.
Ronnie, you were gonna say something again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I tried once and then failed. I mean, we basically covered what I was meant, but I just felt like maybe he was able to have it because he had established that he had rightfully inherited it through beating the previous owner, and then the same thing when he was challenged. I mean, he didn't win very well, but he did establish himself. I don't know. That was just how my brain was like, yeah, I'll allow it.
Yeah, and I'm not here for Bo-Katan slander.
I mean, I'm a little here for Bo-Katan slander.
She's made some mistakes.
She's not the best, but like, fuck off. She tried.
The whole trying to depose and murder her sister thing is not her best moment.
But she's like, no, Mandalore sucks. Like, the rules are dumb. Kind of. You know, like when Mando meets her and she's like, you can literally take your helmet off.
Yeah, but she also freaked the
There's-
fuck out when he got the darksaber.
Yeah, fair.
But
Which,
I also
like-
think that's kind of fair. Like, can you blame her?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, kind of the actually did they make it explicit? But like, I can't remember if the armorer explicitly said or not that like she tried to unite Mandalorians with the darksaber without having won it, and it was a catastrophe. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, one thing I'm interested in is like, I mean, the armor is definitely not gone forever. Like, there's no question. Like, that is going to come up again somehow. But also, the armorer doesn't seem to care about leading unless she's just playing like 7-dimensional chess. But like, she doesn't seem to actually care about Mandalore. She cares about the way, but like, Mandalore's dead. And like, you know, Bo-Katan wants the shiny rock planet that's left. But like, Mandalore itself is pretty dead, and the armorer doesn't seem to care. So that was interesting to me.
The armor has always felt a little bit flat to me. Maybe I'm
not-
overly critical, but every instance of the armorer, I mean, she's interesting, but she's always felt kind of flat to me. Like, I don't even care about her motives, to be honest. I just feel like, all right, next scene.
I don't retain anything that the armorer does because I am focused on being gay for her.
Reasonable.
Shocking.
So then, like, something happens, and I'm like, oh, something happened. I don't know what it is. Mando got away with the darksaber. This is a show about Boba Fett.
Yeah. My thing with the armorer and a lot of what Favreau's writing does is there's a fine line between mysterious and flat. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in season 1, she was a little more on the mysterious side of that line because like there was just less understanding of what was going on in general. But I do think she was a little flat in this one. Other than the darksaber and more TV show tie-ins, because obviously we're gonna get more Ahsoka, we're gonna get more darksaber, we're probably gonna get Ahsoka and darksaber in the same place again. But there's a lot of book tie-ins in this, which was surprising because that doesn't you wouldn't expect it very much, although it has started to happen a lot more than one would expect.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. I mean, I don't expect anyone to ever read a Star Wars book other than I would say 4 of the 5 people on this pod. But, no offense, Keeks. Keeks can read them. It's not that she's illiterate. She just doesn't have the time or desire. That's
They
fine.
don't have pictures.
I'm illiterate.
Thrawn books only for Keeks.
Blue boys.
Blue boy or go home. But yeah, I am excited. It is a cool time to have book tie-ins and to be able to like watch a show and be like, actually, I don't wear glasses, but if I did, I would push them up and explain all of the book tie-ins that I know, and I don't know as many as you all. So I don't know. I'm excited by the book tie-ins because at least it adds a little bit of like depth. And I mean, I'm like someone who's really annoying, and every time I watch something that I've read the book of, I have to like do things. My friends and I, if we watch something, especially if we're watching like Game of Thrones or something like that, they always have to drink whenever I give a book fact. So I'm maybe not one to ask. But yeah, no, I'm excited about book tie-ins, especially because I wanted to encourage people to read Star Wars books.
That's what this whole podcast is about.
That's why I'm here.
It is like pushing our glasses up because we know things. With that said, I literally only know the Cobb Vanth one, and that's because you guys told me when we did The Mandalorian that was a book tie-in. So I got to be like, oh, yes. But this might be me sounding like an idiot because, again, that's the only book tie-in. But, like, it's interesting to see a lot of tie-ins that Chris will surely inform me about after this in Boba because, like, we don't get obviously anything of him really after he gets eaten by the space penis. Like there's a little Tatooine stuff maybe here and there, but it's generally, you know, pre Yavin. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how they tie it in because I feel like it's not obvious, you know, how and where they could do it. That was a point.
Indeed it was. Yeah, and one other tie-in that was, I think, really surprising to me, certainly, because the one thing that at least I expect less than book tie-ins is comic tie-ins, and Black Chrysanthemum from the Dr. Aphra comics was a huge part of this, and like they like got into his own backstory in admittedly a massive exposition dump, but like he was like his own character, and like he was just really interesting. And so it's weird to be in this time of like they are doing all the things I wanted them to do, and I don't necessarily like the product and I don't necessarily like the process, but they are unquestionably doing the things that I want them to do.
I did love the tweet by, I can't remember which author first introduced Chrysanthemum in the comics, but he had a tweet saying something about like you either live long enough for people to never read your comics or you live long enough to see your random Wookiee you created become a sex symbol. And I'm obviously, my delivery is not there, but it was fucking hysterical, the tweet.
I did not take him as a sex symbol in that, but
You're not in the right group chats on Twitter.
I
didn't take it that way either, but
You don't like men.
I was going to say, nor are you the right demographic to be attracted to Black Chrysanthemum.
I can respect things.
all I have to say is if I ever asked someone if they were attracted to me and they said, quote, I can respect things, I think I would jump off of a building.
Oh, my God. Incredible.
Also, I guarantee you, and I don't know if you need to cut this or not, Keeks, but I guarantee you now that I've said this, that the next time that I get upset in front of a cabin and I'm like, are you sure you're attracted to me? He's going to be like, I can respect you just because I just said that.
100%. No,
It's
no
totally
argument.
fine, but I know it's
so
going to happen.
excited. So excited for that to happen to you.
This reminds me of a very funny Miranda story that I'm not going to tell on the podcast. So remind me to tell after we're
Not
done.
tell that story on the podcast.
Oh, I'm so excited. Please tell it on the podcast. No, it's fine.
It
We'll
is
move
not
on.
podcast. It is not podcast appropriate.
What is podcast appropriate?
Yeah, I was about to say, do we have an appropriate?
I like to think there's a line. That is the story is
only
well
not-
over.
I'm only not telling it out of respect for Miranda, not because it's not appropriate for the podcast.
Kind of what I figured. We
Is
do have a
respect
real
for
name on
Miranda
social
appropriate
media.
for the podcast? Maybe that's the line.
Not my line.
Anyway, so yeah, we did get book tie-ins, and kind of who would have expected that they appear to be setting up, RoboCobb in season 2 of Book of Boba if it happens.
I'm sorry, did I miss something? Did you say they're setting up RoboCop? Oh, Cobb.
RoboCobb.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was the pun. That was the pun.
I'm so sorry. I have no excuse. I was like, wow, I did not see that last cutscene.
Now it's time for me to get something and not laugh at it because I totally got it.
Thank you, Kristen. Hi, Orca. Sorry, Orca just came in.
Hi, Orca.
Decided to jump on me.
Everyone should know that Burb just had to pour more wine to deal with us. FYI. I don't blame
Well,
her.
I was picking up the bottle to pour more as Chris made the RoboCobb joke.
Yeah, that I apparently couldn't hear. So I should go
Sometimes
to a
it'd
doctor.
be like that.
I probably wasn't just speaking into the mic, let's be honest.
No. It was me. Fully me. It's okay.
So on that note, let's move on to some listener questions because there are some questions about Cobb Vanth and what we expect or want to see from, these characters going forward. Most of these questions are from, we got a few from Twitter. All right. So Ryan from the Tashi Patreon Slack, where do you think this goes in season 2? I have to assume we're getting season 2 at this point because what was it all for?
It's Star Wars. They can do whatever they want. People will watch it.
Presumably we'll get that announcement at Celebration, although Watch Celebration's going to come and go and it's going to be another Disney Plus day.
I mean, they still kind of have to address Boba Fett's beef with the Hutts.
It's funny you say that because I was just realizing that I had told Cadman since he listens to the pod that if he had a question, he could tell us. But then he asked something about the Hutts, and I completely forgot. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm like, I don't know, doesn't matter. But yeah, no, they do have to address his issue with the Hutts.
I thought they were going to be the villain, and then it was the Pikes.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with it not being the Hutts because the Hutts are kind of annoying. But also, I'm fine with going into that later because I don't know. I'm here for House of Cards on Tatooine. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I would love it if we get some explanation as to why he was so angry at Bib Fortuna and the Hutts in general, because it felt like we never got that in season 1.
Yeah.
I mean, they did just kind of let him fall into a space penis mouth.
Yeah, but he's a bounty hunter. He's got to know that people don't have his best interest in heart.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like
mixed
it's
in
like
mind and at heart, but you get it.
How dare my employer who pays me to kidnap and murder people not care about me as a person?
It's very rude.
Yeah, like that was just very odd to me. And we'll see if they decide to get into that a little more. Maybe there was some secret bullshit.
With all the young
Maybe
Boba
they're just
flashbacks, maybe we'll get Book 2 Boba Seeks Therapy. I know that's what
Therapy?
Bact is for, but I would watch a
my Star
Boba Fett
Wars?
therapy scene. I would do it.
Not in my Star Wars.
I forgot all the young Boba flashbacks that were just completely pointless.
It was like the same scene over and over again that I don't think is an attack. Like, it's not a scene.
No,
it's a
I think it
shot.
was like the same leftover B-roll.
Yeah, exactly. It was like B-roll footage that had not been used but worked, and then just over and over again. I too like to stare angsty out of windows in the rain and question my relationships with my parents, but I don't know if I could make a whole show out of it.
Yeah.
Worked is strong.
I don't know. They could do like The Sopranos, but it's Boba Fett.
Yeah, I
You have
mean,
the occasional therapy scene. I've seen 3 episodes of The Sopranos.
yeah, no, I mean, I think that's fair though. And one thing that Robert Rodriguez said in an interview before season 1 came out is that, Mandalorian's a Western and Book of Boba Fett was going to be more of like a gangster show. And I don't know that I agree with that interpretation. But I mean, that would be great if that's, season 1 is just setting up how he gets to be the mob boss. And then season 2 and, onward go to, okay, what does he do with that power? That is, I think the most interesting place for it to go.
But can Filoni and Favreau, who I always want to call Favroni, can they do exposition enough to take us on this journey. And
They
then
can do the
loop back?
exposition. You'll get nothing else.
Right, but I mean, like, can it be done in an effective way?
No.
No.
We'll do it anyway.
Probably not with Favreau
It doesn't
writing
matter.
it. Probably
Like,
not with
I'm
Favreau writing it.
totally fine with the idea of this turning into something later of like, okay, Fett has adjusted his views and came to the conclusion that he is now responsible for, whatever happens with the Syndicate or with whatever these other groups are.
His
But-
little group of teens.
Yeah, like fine, whatever. You run a teen gang, that's cool. But like, if you do, I just don't know how that story is gonna work to take us when half of this season was like Boba Fett develops morals. Maybe I'm too harsh because it's a Monday, but like,
No, I don't
I'm
think you are.
fine with it. I just don't have faith in the journey that would take.
I don't think any of us do.
Okay.
It's so funny because like I feel like I'm higher in general on Favreau and Filoni's writing in the 3 seasons of Mandalorian / Boba. I feel like I'm
2.5
higher
seasons
than
of Mando.
huh?
It's
Yeah.
2.5 seasons of Mando.
Yeah. I feel like I'm higher on that than a lot of people. But I also like I fully recognize that it's like like I said before. I hate the process. I don't like what they're doing with it, and yet somehow it kind of like it finishes up, and I'm like, okay, I liked that.
I
So,
think
like,
I
I
just like
don't-
it because it's Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah,
Like, I do like it, but like, do I like everything Star Wars? Mostly.
I mean
Except for
Rise of Skywalker,
The
correct.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
that's true. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see what they do with it in season 2. I do for what it's worth expect there to be a season 2. I don't know why they
yeah.
would do it if they weren't going to do. I don't know why they would go through the trouble of bringing back Boba Fett, like one of the most iconic characters of all time, if they were only going to have him in 4 episodes of his own 6-episode show.
I mean, that's extremely on brand for Boba Fett, though. He was in like 3 seconds of the original trilogy, and people go fucking crazy for him.
I mean, that is true.
It's
I'm
big
also
Boba energy.
I'm also fine with giving Ming-Na Wen and Tamora Morrison more money. Like, please give them
And
Disney money.
screen time. I'd love them
Yeah.
together.
Just give them money. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'll watch season 2. Give them money.
Yeah, I look forward to. I hope season 2 the writing hits its stride a little better because I want this show to be good.
There's
This is-
potential.
Yes.
Like this is for Mandalorian. I go into every season with like trepidation that I'm gonna hate it and end up liking it, and this was the opposite. I had very high hopes for this series because I was like, I don't know how they could possibly screw it up, and then I came away like not like screwed up, but like very underwhelmed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for the ride, but I don't think I'd really want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I accidentally rewatched the episode where he recruits the teen gang. It's a fun one. He finds these teens. He yells at the guy. He was in something. Was he in Space Jam?
I have no idea.
What?
What
Yes,
you're talking
he was the annoying like accountant buddy in Space Jam. The guy who was selling water for way too much.
about. Which Space Jam?
Oh, I'm thinking of there's definitely an actor in it who was in Office Space who I was thinking of too.
That
but
guy. Yeah.
It is that guy. Yeah.
I think it's that guy.
I don't remember who's selling water in Book of Boba, but or in Space Jam, but I do remember
nobody's
that
selling
actor
in
was
Space
it.
Jam. That's
Okay, I don't know. They could be selling water at a basketball game to the aliens. I don't know.
well, they do have Michael's special juice or whatever the fuck.
Gatorade, steroids.
No. Bugs Bunny writes on it like Michael's secret stuff to mind game everybody into thinking that they're drinking like stuff that will make them better at basketball. So it's like a
Okay, yeah,
they,
placebo
they start
effect.
being
If
they
you
start
had-
being better at basketball.
If you had Miranda explaining the plot of Space Jam on your stupid Book Wars Pod bingo card for tonight, finish your beer.
Just so everyone
out
knows,
of
I
the
have
realm of
seen Space
possibility.
Jam. It's just been a good 15 years. Probably
that was a
closer
pretty-
to 25 years.
That was a pretty niche detail, to be fair. Like,
Also, me explaining the plot of Space Jam should never be off your radar for this podcast.
it's true. Kate, before we move on to the next question, Kate did have an answer for this one too. She was not able to join us because we took too long to record and school started again. But where she thinks it goes is if Boba decides he doesn't want to be daimyo, how does he pass the leadership and community building skills he learned from the Tuskens on to the modders or Chrysantan or whoever.
The modders are the teens? Question mark.
Yes.
So I completely respect this question. We all know I love Kate, but also now this makes me imagine Boba Fett as a community organizer, and it's an interesting mental image. That being said, I think he'd just have to pass the leadership. Like, he's mentored them all. I don't think it would actually be that difficult for him to pass on the leadership because at some point he's proven himself. And he has this weird half-wild Rancor. Like, you got that. You can just tell people who's in charge now and it's fine.
But if he passes it on, what does he do? What's the plot of the show? Boba Fett wanders Tatooine? It'll be like the middle book of the Aftermath series.
Like, maybe he'll go to a new community of Tuscans. I would watch that show.
I would watch that show.
I'd prefer that
Maybe
show.
it'll be like a nature documentary, or like an anthropology series. And
Planet
he's like,
Tatooine.
I'd watch it.
That actually is a great lead into our next question, which is from Daniel, TiePilot_Dandy from the Tashi Station Patreon Slack as well. What do you feel the show best added to Boba as a character? And I think, for me, and we talked a lot about this, all of us did last episode, was the scenes with the Tuskens, and particularly episode 2, were easily the most interesting part of the series.
Yeah.
Hard agree.
Yeah, I think all that we've seen of Boba, I know all that we've seen of Boba Fett before this has been, him as a little loner kid trying to make it as a bounty hunter.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not a loner because there are millions of him, but I guess he is technically a loner because he ages normally.
It's true.
But also he's not hanging out with the clones. He's like off with what's-her-face and not getting along with her. Like with the one ponytail thing on the top of her head.
Aura Singh is who you're thinking of.
Thank you. Like, he's always just kind of been out for himself. So this is new and fun and heartwarming.
Yeah, I'm here for his friendships.
Yeah, I thought what it could have added best to Boba as a character was an explanation of his motivations, which we've never really heard past, when he was a kid being motivated by being angry because his father died. Like, we didn't...
The Jedi killed my father.
Yep. Like, we didn't quite get it from this. We got glimpses of what it could be. I hope that it will be more of that in season 2, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it added, this is such a bullshit answer, but I felt like it added actual personality. Like, so much of what we associate with Boba, I feel like are all of us projecting onto, like, the action figure. And, like, yeah, he's in Clone Wars, and he's cool in Clone Wars, and, like, he's in some short stories, and he's cool. But I just feel like there hasn't been a lot of substance, and I felt like this added depth and, like, actual personality to his character that wasn't just us being, like, based on these 3 decisions that he made in Clone Wars, I think he is this person.
Look at his cool armor.
It is cool.
That was his personality.
He has a rocket pack.
It goes vroom vroom.
Sure does.
And like that, I don't say that to be like bitchy about it. I just like, and I mean, I did that too. I know.
I'll be bitchy about it. He has nothing, and fuckboys love him for decades. But now he has depth, and is more than just an action figure.
Agreed.
And rightfully annoying youth.
Yeah, whenever like older generation Star Wars fans say that Boba Fett is their favorite character, I can't resist rolling my eyes.
You gotta wonder
Boba
why.
Fett's when you could love 5s.
That's the question.
A great point. A great point.
Boba's not even blue. It's like they don't even know. Anyway,
I did correctly identify the blue boy when he showed up in this, though.
Proud
Did
of
he
you.
blow up? I mean, that is a reader question as well, or listener question.
I thought you said when he showed up.
Yeah, I did when he showed up.
But
I was like, yes, blue boy.
Was he
can
in the
tell
cantina
because he's blue.
when it exploded?
Cad Bane?
No, sorry, I was talking about our dear friend Max Rebo.
Oh.
Different blue boy.
That's a good question. We don't know.
No idea.
I think Rob asked us that. That's
Okay, honestly, this is fucking bury the gays. They blew up Jennifer Beals. I realize she's probably not gay in this show. And has only been gay in one, technically 2 shows.
I mean, she wasn't not gay in this one.
Yeah.
She wasn't not
we
gay.
don't know her personal life.
It's true.
It's homophobic.
It is.
She did decide to objectify multiple genders for us. So
And we love that for her.
Mm-hmm.
This
Jennifer
is
Beals
the
can
future of
do whatever
equality
she
liberals want.
Yes.
It's what, for L word stars to be in everything?
No, the objectification of male Twi'lek slaves too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But sorry, I'll let you continue your original point, Burp.
Oh, there
Cad
was no
Bane.
point. I was just yelling about Jennifer Beals being in the show
Oh, I meant
because it's fucking
Before
wild.
that was Cad Bane.
Oh no, I was just proud of myself for identifying a blue boy. There was also no point there.
That's a point.
Next question from Tyler, again from the Patreon. I'm sure you guys are planning on discussing the very weird structure of the show. We did that last episode, but if you were in charge, how would you restructure the existing scenes and storylines to work better? Cutting stuff is okay, but nothing new can be filmed. I mean, there were already only 4 episodes of content in a 6-episode series, so I don't know how we're not filming anything new.
One of them was also a weird flashback.
Yeah,
Half of it was a weird flashback.
I wouldn't have done it as flashbacks.
Yeah,
I think
but,
I
like,
would have started with him getting out of the Sarlacc, and then spent like 2 or 3 episodes really developing his time with the Tuskens, and and like maybe you do it as like a baby flashback just as a framing device, but like really focus on that time, and so that you can get a sense of his motivations, which I feel like is like they have tried to do that, but it didn't work for me.
I wouldn't start an episode and then have half of the episode be like with a flashback, and it takes you a second to figure it out. Because like he's got a lot of flashbacks in the back to Tank, but this one was just like, hey, remember when this happened? And no, because we weren't there for it. They explain how he gets out of the Sarlacc. I don't know. Also, I feel like they could have handled the Mando thing better. Like I don't mind that the content was in the show because, we love Mando, we love Grogu. They are important ultimately in the story of Boba Fett and Mos Espa. But just like turning into the Mandalorian for 2 episodes in the middle of it is a choice.
Yeah,
Like you can weave it in.
I agree. Or even like cut that down, but have it more in the beginning. I feel like I'm fine with having flashbacks. I'm fine with Tarantinoing it. But I feel like I would have spread it out more, particularly the more formative moments for him, so that it's not just like, here's his bad decision he made now he's beaten up, and now he's remembering in the back to Tank how he got here. You know what I mean? I would have interspersed the flashbacks, I think, in a different way. And to your point, Chris, I probably would have, if we can't add new scenes, I would have maybe extended the information about the Tuskens into multiple episodes, so it wasn't just like 2, and then everyone dies. Like I might have done it in a not only, even if you're going to make that reveal in episode 3, I would have continued to have these flashbacks of him remembering his time, so that it's something he's like formatively drawing upon regularly.
Yeah, I famously hate when the story is just they're in the desert and walking and vaguely doing things, which is kind of what the beginning of the show was. And it's a good story, it's good content, and I think most of what we got this season was good content. It's just I don't know how I would do it because that is not my job here. But I think there's a way to kind of, interweave some of the flashbacks and some of the time. Like, why couldn't more of the time with the Tuskens be flashbacks?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, I was just going to say you both brought up a good point, which I completely ignored, which was the Mandalorian interlude. For me, I think, and the Mandalorian episodes were like some of my favorite of the series. Like I thought they were more interesting.
They were pretty good.
But also
great.
I do think that there was a big issue in the marketing of this as the Book of Boba Fett, and then there were 2 episodes without Boba Fett. Like I think that what they could have done is a couple things. A, condense the Mandalorian stuff to 1 episode, which I think they could have done. The first Mandalorian episode was a little chunky. It was a little heavy. I think it could have been cut down. Like, I think they could have done that and then been like, this week on Book of Boba Fett. Surprise! It's the season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian. Like, specifically market it differently, and like put like The Mandalorian, like, you know, title card on it and whatever. And then go back to Book of Boba and like be like, it is an interwoven story. Like, this is like kind of like how Marvel does it with like, it's all the same story, but sometimes it's a Captain America movie and sometimes it's an Ant-Man movie and like shit like that. But also, I think if they want to really commit to the interconnected storytelling, then they should start marketing it as like, you know, Tales of the Mandalorian or something, like, you know,
Tales of Tatooine.
Tales of Tatooine, or just something that makes it clear that like it could be Boba Fett, it could be Din Djarin, it could be Ahsoka, it could be any of these things. You just have to watch to find out.
My question about why we all enjoyed the Mandalorian episodes is part of why we did, because we're more invested in that storyline because we've had 3 seasons.
Yes.
Or 2 seasons.
Yes.
Like, that is part of why I feel like I see why they would weave that in. I'm fine with it being a part of the show. I really liked those episodes. But it may also be a testament to the fact that, like, if we had more time in Book of Boba and perhaps slightly different telling of the story, we might feel that way if these situations were reversed. And, you know, because when Boba showed up in Mandalorian, like, people were excited but also confused. And so I just feel like if we had more time with the storyline and more time to become attached to the complications and the consequences of what happens in the show, like we were also worried about what happens with little Grogu, like I think we would maybe feel differently.
Yeah.
I do feel like probably somebody should point out here that after the first season of The Mandalorian, we weren't super high on it. Like, it was good. We vaguely enjoyed it, but you know, it definitely hit its stride in season 2. And, you know, like, the things that we were nitpicking and that were very valid, and I think what we're nitpicking here is valid, but I don't know. There's maybe a point there. I personally am hoping, because we all want this show to be good, because we love Boba Fett having depth, that it'll improve in season 2. And maybe with all this background, like, you know, a lot of the flashbacks, they were exposition. It's like, hey, look, Boba's upset his dad's dead. He lived with the Tuskens. Here's this, here's that, here's whatever. Like, here's you know, Fennec Shan going to Mando and being like, hey, you owe us one, or whatever. But I think I'm hoping that with that out of the way, we can get into actual plot, which is what happened with The Mandalorian. There's no plot in season 1.
Agreed.
It was walking through the desert. Why are all these shows set on goddamn Tatooine?
Excuse you, there was one forest episode.
Oh my god, you're so right.
No, I think that's an excellent point. And that's part of why I hope there is a season 2, because, I mean, listen, it's like a running joke at this point, but Filoni shows always hit their stride in season 2. Season 1 is always rough, and you get through it, and then it hits season 2. And just because he's not show running it doesn't mean it's not the case here. Any other thoughts on this one, or shall we continue?
We can go on.
Question from Drew from Tachi Station, Patreon. Always friend of the pod. Would you adopt a Rancor?
No.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead. Burb, go ahead. I know you want to watch basketball, but also go ahead.
I already have a cat. Like, I'm good on. There was, so at my work, they do a thing where, like, they put your picture on the homepage of, like, the internal site, and you know,
get a Rancor?
Yes, surprise. A Rancor has joined my engineering firm.
Yeah, that's a hell of a benefits package.
But like, somebody, their like outside of work thing referred to the authoritarian regime, or like living under the authoritarian regime of their cat. Like, I'm good on the Rancor. I got one little beast to watch after.
Here's my thought on the Rancor. 1, they bond with whoever first make eye contact, right? So assuming that I got to be the first one to make eye contact with it, first of all, I already think Argos is bonded to me, and he hates me half the time. Or I guess
But-
maybe like a third of the time.
If you adopt a Rancor, would it have opened its eyes already and made eye contact with someone?
That's a good question. You know, I'd be willing to try.
I think
feel
we're.
like
Sorry, you go, Rana.
Sorry. I feel like my answer is presuming that I somehow had enough space for one. But also I will say that would be a great transportation method that would have no carbon footprint or very minimal carbon footprint.
That's true, but I also
Gas prices go up, Rancor prices don't.
I have a small apartment. I'd have to keep him like tied up in the park a couple blocks away.
I bet if I had a Rancor, my landlord would not be selling my apartment right now. He would be like, just do whatever you want. I don't
Probably
care.
true.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably get fined by the city of Portland, but
No, whatever. I mean, what are they gonna do? They can't enforce it. You have a Rancor.
It's true.
Just like
You
having
can
a
have
dragon.
chickens, I think, and goats.
you can have chickens and goats, but I don't have a yard. I would have to use the park.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was just gonna say in response to the has it already bonded to someone else, or is it seeing you for it's bonded parent? I feel like we're probably not picking up this Rancor at the Humane Society. Like I feel like you're probably getting it pretty young.
I don't think like
Like an illegal Rancor.
my sad assumption is that Rancors that you don't get from childhood are fought or something terrible. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, they're
know.
definitely not pets for sure.
Should we include Kristen in that question?
Yes.
I have a big yard. I could handle it.
How do you think Jasper would react to a Rancor?
There'd be no space for
We just
Jasper to
chase it?
run.
Yeah, as
would
long
hurt
as
it.
as long as they could both chase after each other, Jasper would be into it. That is the only thing he cares about.
Yeah. I would as I feel like has been mentioned on the pod before. My lifelong dream is to have a pet hippopotamus. So I feel like this is not that far off from that.
Probably just as dangerous.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no question. And to that I say I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, I think Kate put in the outline, like Chris's hippopotamus, where would we put it, was her response. So
Both of those pets will kill you.
I stand by what I said. Another question from Drew: how would you have liked to see the Tusken arc resolved? For me, literally any other way.
Yep. Alive. The Tuscans being happy.
My dream answer to this would be, since we had a little Boba land back moment, like some wild shit happens and it's like, cool, Tuscans are left in charge of Tatooine. Not even just Mos Espa, like Tatooine.
Hell yeah.
Everybody go home. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made a lot of strides with the Tuscans.
For 2 episodes.
And well, in this series, and a little. Did we make? I don't know. I don't
In
remember how
Mando, I
much they were in
felt-
Mando. They
I
were
felt
a
like
Mando,
in
yeah.
that first episode of season 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or maybe second episode. I was like texting other like nerdy native people, and I was like, "Oh shit!" To be fair, I say "Oh shit" to everything, but yeah, no, I was excited.
No,
yeah,
they
go ahead.
don't. They don't get a good rap in the movies.
They're called sand people. Like that's not a good start.
and it's like everyone's kind of space racist against them. And so it's good to see them like have a lovely community where they foster Boba Fett and make him a better person. I want them to be happy and alive.
I also loved that in the Tusken Raider episode that really dove into their culture, that it wasn't just like, hey, they're just like white people. Like sometimes when stories have tribal people, however they're interpreted in space, or other places, like sometimes the way of getting the audience to care about them is to say like, here's how they're actually like white people. And I liked that it didn't lean into that.
Yeah.
And that they were able to have like their own distinctive culture. But yeah, if they could not all be wiped out, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, honestly, when episode 2 ended, I was really hoping that the rest of the series was going to be the reason that, like, Boba's, like, reason for being and taking over Tatooine is because, like, he is doing the bidding of the Tuskens, and they are, like, the power behind him, and he is the figurehead, and, like, getting into the, like, really interesting aspects of that, of kind of like you were saying, like, taking over Tatooine.
Yeah.
I would have loved
That's
that.
what I thought. At first, I thought that's where it was going, was like they've appointed him
Yeah.
as someone who can navigate their system better, or not their
And-
system, but this system better. And sorry, Burb, I know you have a point. I'll say my point
Yeah.
after. Go ahead.
Oh no worries. But can you imagine them just backing him up, like in everything that happens the rest of the series?
Yeah, it'd been
You know,
awesome.
if he's the figurehead for the Tuskens and they're there to support him, and like just really be, you know, his driving force, that'd be fucking lit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rana, you were
I
gonna
also
say
feel like-
something.
Yeah, if we have to have a scene in which that village gets killed, then I would like if for whatever reason that was the starting point, then I would like to see other groups of Tusken Raiders, because we know it's not just the Mos Espa area ones, like who maybe have some sort of backing then or joining Boba Fett's like vengeance, not maybe not supporting him in his role in Mos Espa, whatever, they don't care about that. But like some sort of way of still involving other Tusken Raiders. So it's not just like, he had a cool study abroad year. Now they're all dead and he has motive.
Completely agree.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see though, you know, obviously Boba like kind of got that bond with this one group of the Tuskens. So, you know, does that translate to, you know, him meeting others? I think he's got enough that he's probably okay, but it'd be interesting to see those dynamics.
Well, and maybe it doesn't have to. Like, maybe that's part of the interesting, like, plot is that no, it doesn't matter if you knew these ones, these other ones don't accept you, but also, like, they're not cool with the idea of an entire group of people being wiped out. So, like, you might have conflict with them, but you have a similar goal.
Yeah,
You can't
so
just be like, this is my Tusken Raider friend. I had one Tusken Raider friend. You must now also be my friend.
but yeah, so like, you know, like we're saying, there's so many different ways they could have handled it that aren't lazy colonizer stories. That was
But
that was
this is
just so
Star
disappointing.
Wars.
Yeah. And final
How are you
question
gonna do a
from
Star Wars.
final
without
question
lazy
from Drew.
colonizers,
Cad Bane,
guys?
yes or no? For me, resounding yes. I loved having him in it.
That was wild.
I was like, yeah, but where do I know him from again? And then I had to really think. And I was like, I know I've seen him before. I feel like it was Clone Wars. What was he in? And then someone pointed out to me that it was a deleted scene. And I was like, oh. Because I was watching this with Cadman and I was like, I'm pretty sure he had a role. Like, I'm like explaining the things I felt like I remembered. And Cadman was like, huh. And I was like, I can't back any of this up. And then I realized, wow, what a wild thing to pull a important character from in this season.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for those who don't know, the previous Boba Cad Bane history between them is that they have dueled in the past and Boba won, and that's why Cad Bane gets like a fucking robot head. But that is literally a like unrendered scene that was shown at Celebration one year or Comic-Con or something. But I loved having Cad Bane in it. I like when we saw him walking out of the desert, I like recognized his fucking hat right away and I like freaked out. And because you know, especially since he had just been in Bad Batch and, you know, having him in Clone Wars back then, he was always just a really interesting character. So for me it really worked. I know that there are other people who were like, why the fuck, like, do you need to have seen a fucking deleted scene from Comic-Con to understand the backstory? And I definitely hear that from my admittedly very limited and very anecdotal experience talking to people. They didn't really give a shit that they didn't know their backstory. They just thought it was cool.
It was cool. It was unexpected.
And they did a good job, I thought, of like trying to summarize some of the backstory. Obviously, you can't get all of it, but of at least like implying that there was some sort of history between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could
So
tell
it's
there
okay
was
with
some beef there.
From at M Gardner LC on Twitter, do you feel like the issues with Boba's story were more related to the back to flashbacks, the need to bring along the Din? Okay, I was like, there's a typo, and I was like, is his name Din or Jin? No, it's Din Djarin, the Din Grogu story, or Rodriguez's lack of focus.
Yes.
I want to know what happened with Robert Rodriguez in this series.
I will say, like, a lot of Robert Rodriguez's movies I'm a fan of, like, not all of them, but I think he does an interesting role. What the fuck am I saying? I think he does an interesting, like, job in his storytelling, and I think he has a very unique way of telling stories. But yeah, he's not the most focused director. I do think part of why they brought in the Din Djarin plotline was because we all love Grogu, and
It's true.
because it probably increased viewership and interest in the story. Like, I think people watch this, but I do feel like people are more likely to tune in, or maybe they got really pumped and they were like, "What? Mando? What?" I don't know. Maybe they didn't feel that way, but that's my assumption.
Oh, I
They
think
did
they did.
Baby Yoda on SNL. Grogu's a national hero. Like,
The ending with Grogu was like one of my favorite things of the whole season.
It was very
I
cute.
loved it. Fast Grogu wants to go faster. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't get what happened with Robert Rodriguez, because like he does have a very unique style, but like this wasn't it, is the weird part. Like, this didn't feel like it was him. And like, you know, with any Star Wars production these days, you have to ask, like, did something happen behind the scenes? But everybody was so happy about how this all like worked out, and was so effusive about the process and like how it was going, that like I find it hard to believe that like they just like essentially like recut all of Rodriguez's work in post. But also, what the hell was with the 10 miles an hour speeder chase? Like, you're telling me Robert Rodriguez can't put together, like, one of the great action sequence directors of his generation can't put together a better speeder chase than that? It was bizarre.
Yeah. I do wonder if, like, because most of his work is probably not something that Disney would be okay with having for Star Wars content, I do wonder if that played a role in some way, or if he was like, this is an opportunity to be creative in a different way, and it didn't quite translate, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, that he was intentionally trying to kind of branch out and it just didn't work. That's a very interesting thought. At Tom the Fanboy on Twitter, so many characters survived the destruction of the sail barge. What do you think it was like when they all had to walk back to the palace that afternoon? I imagine it was like
Awkward.
when you and a bunch of other people are at a hotel 10 blocks uphill the convention center. How many survived the sail barge? Boba.
Some of them, Boba questionably survived it. Like, he wasn't hanging out on the barge with everyone else. He was sitting in the penis.
Yeah, but like, other than, you know, the Star Wars group, other than the protagonists, who else survived? This is a legitimate question. I don't know.
That's
I'm
a
sure
good
a couple
question.
people, like, there have to have been people who fell off or like escaped the crash and then like crawled back. I don't know why they would all want to go back to Jabba's palace, but it's got to be possible.
That's where their stuff is.
Oh, that's
They
true.
they left their backpacks there.
Maybe it's like one time my high school had a bomb threat, and then we all had to go back to school after to go get our stuff because we all had to leave in the middle of the day. And everyone was like, hey, do you still think we have a test tomorrow? I feel like it's probably like that, where like no one knows how to handle it, and they're like, hey, do you think we're still going to get paid?
Can I do a quick aside? And Kristen, if you're listening, and post, you can cut this. In college, we showed up for class, and the door to the room that we used was locked. And, we're in one of the buildings where the classes are. Phillips Hall for you GW nerds. And so we're waiting for classes. Our professor's not there yet. And the fire alarm goes off. So then we walked outside. And so, we're hanging out across the street and kind of congregating, and we're joking like, oh man, she's probably we had a quiz that day. We're like, she's probably going to still make us take the quiz. We need to split up. And then she fucking found us. She made us separate and gave us all a little quiz. It was very funny.
My question is, who's giving the quiz at Jabba's palace?
I don't think they have a quiz. I think they just need to get their backpacks.
Interesting thought. Kate's comment to this one is, quote, so anyone else see Fett get eaten by that butthole?
It's got to be a really awkward walk.
It's going to be
like,
weird.
Like
for
if
sure.
you say goodbye to someone and then you start walking in the same direction, but worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
It also, I feel like there will be that moment when you realize someone was at the same weird event later, and you talk to them and you're like, yeah, I was at this weird, crazy thing. And there's like, this barge crashed and a blind person shot a bounty hunter into an asshole, and then it would be like, oh, actually I was there too. This is wild. How did we
That's
all
gotta be
survive
awkward.
this?
There were not a lot of people on that barge.
But like there's definitely someone who didn't know that other people were there, and then they're gonna hear in like 5 years in like the the world of whatever shitty crimes they join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jabba's crew, his group of close personal friends, not the brightest. I could see it.
This is true.
I am
all right.
always here. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, you go.
It wasn't a good point. I was just gonna say I'm always here for when Jabba gets choked out, and so I'm sure somebody was talking about this.
Yeah, I was like, did you see the lady in the weird gold bikini
Yep.
choke Jabba with her own chains?
Yep.
That was fucked.
All right, we are running heavy, so we're just going to do rapid fire for these last few, many of which are from Rob, at the Rob Mayhem on Twitter. Friend of the show, he's been on before. Is Madame
at Smooth
Garza...
like mayo.
Yes, also at Smooth Like Mayo,
If you want
thank
to be
you.
fancy.
Is Garza Fwip okay, Madame Garza? My answer is no.
I don't know who that is.
She
It's
did.
literally Jennifer Beals.
Jennifer Beals? No, and I feel bad for her. I don't know her name. She's Jennifer Beals to me. I never paid attention to what her name is.
Yeah, no, she dead. She's super dead. What do you think the parking fines were for leaving Slave One there for 5 years?
None.
They don't have laws on Tatooine.
That's
There's
just-
no way they have an impound lot. There's no way they have like a Department of Transportation. Or I don't even think they
were
have
just
tickets.
holding his car. Like
They just
it was
forgot
in
it was
a private
there.
garage.
They
Private
probably
garage.
use it for scrap metal.
It's so weird that they just didn't fucking touch it for 5 years. So bizarre. Who's gonna walk this Rancor back to the palace?
Kate's answer is my favorite. I have nothing to add on top of that.
Kate's answer is Grogu has a new pet. IDK, what you're talking about.
I agree.
I agree too. I think that the little droid rickshaw that Amy Sedaris rented is going to drag it back. Go into turbo mode. Who's gonna clean all this shit up?
I love the idea of Boba Fett just picking up trash.
I just assumed since it's a desert, the wind will blow it all off and someone will cut their foot on it in a flashback scene in like 10 years of some
Or-
other show.
It'll get buried in sand.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I love the idea not of Boba Fett picking up trash, but of Boba Fett supervising a bunch of pikes in bright orange vests while they pick up trash.
I also like the idea of Fennec Shand picking up the trash. She'd
I
be so
cannot
mad.
picture her ever
She
picking
would
up
not
a
She
do
would
that.
be
bag of
so
trash.
mad doing it, but Boba would make her, and she'd complain.
I
the
don't
whole
think
time.
anyone can make her do things.
No, but I think she'd feel bad.
I don't think she would.
I feel like she just like makes some pithy
not-
comment about how people deserve garbage and then
Not-
like leave.
Not bad. I think she'd do it because Boba asks her to, and like she'll do things for him. I stand by it.
I feel like
I
Mando
can-
would do it.
I don't care.
Mando would do it definitely. Yeah, that would happen.
And then finally from Rob, how much does a pig funeral cost?
I just say we use Kate's answer.
Kate's answer, the official answer of the pod, is how much does it cost to get barbecue supplies?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of like luau's there and pig roasts.
Listen, carnitas is good on any planet.
It's true.
At Blee Internets on Twitter, would you rather cuddle one Rancor-sized Grogu or a dozen Grogu-sized Rancors, all of whom are emotionally attached to you and you alone?
Rancor-sized Grogu.
I'm so sad at this question. I can't answer.
I'm
not
100%.
actually crying, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rana.
no, I said I'm not actually crying when I want to.
Fair. For me, the answer is 100% one Rancor-sized Grogu, and I will tell you why. And I had this debate with Kate because she said the second one would just be having 12 orcas, so that, I guess, which is not
Orca has
incorrect.
separation anxiety.
Not incorrect.
Go ahead, Chris.
No. you the look on your face was great.
No, sorry, I just had a realization. Go
Okay.
on. I don't have many of those.
For me, because if they're Grogu-sized Rancors, listen, the Rancor is a lot of things, but it's not soft. I don't feel like it's going to be comfortable to cuddle with. Whereas a Rancor-sized Grogu is going to be like soft and squishy, and you can lean your head on it and go to sleep. Like, for
Is it gonna
example,
be soft? They look at Yoda's claws.
Nobody's
Grogu's
more
a
likely to be
baby, but-
cuddly than fucking Rancors.
That's true. Like we have a giant baby Yoda pillow on the couch behind me. Like I imagine it being like that but bigger.
I feel like I said I couldn't answer, but now I can. I'm gonna go with the dozen Grogu-sized Rancors because Grogu does not know his own strength as a tiny, like 3-pound creature. Can you imagine that he's a giant? He will like it'll be like when a toddler tries to hug you and like you're like, wow, good thing you're not strong, or my ribs would crack. But it will actually like your organs will shoot out of you. I think
Through which
my
hole?
ribs would probably all of the holes. Like I feel like that's got to be my answer. It's a dozen Grogu-sized Rancors. Solely, yes, they might scratch me up. I already get scratched up by my dogs and my boyfriend's dogs. Like, it's fine. Rancor-sized Grogu is going to kill me. Out of love, and it'll be a good way to go, but I'm dead.
That's a fair point. I mean, I guess it goes back to my early answer about having a Rancor as a pet and a hippo. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And then last question of the episode comes from Space Jess on Twitter. How much of our dear departed hamster Boba Fett did you see in the new and enlightened Boba Fett? You know, Boba Fett did spend a lot of his time scrambling around and running just to get nowhere, so it did remind me of the show overall.
Oh, Boba Fett.
R.I.P. Boba Fett. He was a sweet boy. He bit the shit out of me, though.
I mean, that's what they do.
So would Boba Fett. You don't know your life.
Exactly.
Listen,
He
that's
was just
true.
practicing finding a bounty.
That's
Just
true.
claiming it.
That's true. There was a bounty on my finger. Thank you all for listening to this truly bizarre episode of the Book Wars Pod. I'm like looking at the conclusion. I'm like, are people even getting vaccines anymore? Get your fucking vaccines. Oh, I guess you can
might
get
have
boosters
another
again
one.
now. Yeah.
They're doing boosters for
If you're over 50, go
for
get
the olds.
your third
yeah,
one.
seniors.
Yeah,
And
which
it
means
will
they're
come
coming.
soon.
Yeah. So get more fucking boosters. Next episode, we're going to be getting back to books. We're going to be reading A Test of Courage, which is the High Republic first middle grade book, followed by Into the Dark, which is the YA book. A Test of Courage, written by Justina Ireland. Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. In the meantime, if you have the means, donate to the International Rescue Committee. Definitely remembered that. And second, if you want to support us, you can donate to the Tasha Station Radio Patreon. Helps us cover our hosting and production costs. Or you can give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. All of this makes Argos, Serby, Jasper, Orca, and Tony very happy. So we hope that you will do it. Our theme song is... Wow, I just burped in the middle of saying that. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design. And our audio and production are done by what at this moment is probably a very regretful Kristen McDonald. Thank you so much for listening. For all of us, Rana, Miranda, Kate, Kristen, all the pets aforementioned, I'm Chris. We'll talk to you next time.
This was a train wreck.
He just started saying next time because who knows when we're recording again.